I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. Tonight, we're going to talk about a relationship gone sour. We've probably all been through that at one time in our lives. It's no fun, and along the way, the breakup usually has some definite markers that show that things are only getting worse. Well, that's happening now in the relationship between Oregon's big cities and small towns. It's the urban-rural divide, and we could all be headed for a divorce. 11 counties in eastern Oregon have voted to start talking about becoming part of Idaho. Last night we explored some of the cultural differences in rural Oregon. Tonight we'll dig into that a bit deeper and see what, if anything, can be done to help turn things around. We're traveling to eastern Oregon, to Grant County and the town of John Day. One of the people we've come to visit is Sandie Gilson. She's a board member for the Greater Idaho movement. If there was a vote tomorrow to make Grant County part of Idaho, how would you vote?
To leave.
You'd become Idaho?
Yes.
Even though you're a fifth-generation Oregonian?
Yes.
Gilson grew up in a small town in southern Oregon. She moved to the John Day area 16 years ago and bought a company involved in the real estate business.
You know, Oregon when I was a child, was a great place. There was a lot of money for schools because most of it was timber money, and the timber taxes supported the schools and the counties and everything. This was a prosperous state at that time. And then we started getting into the spotted owl and all of the controversy with that.
In the late 1980s and early 90s, timber harvests did change. A 2017 report from a group called Headwater Economics noted that Grant County alone lost at least $30 million in timber earnings during the years 2001 through 2014. These days, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median household income in Grant County is $51,100 per year. As of 2021, Grant County had 7,272 people. It's 94% white. The median home price is $160,000. 90% have at least a high school degree. 17% have a bachelor's degree or above. Gilson said she loves her community. Her roots run deep in Oregon.
I'm a fifth-generation Oregonian. My great-great-grandfather was actually a miner out here in Grant County. He came through and did some mining, prospecting during the days that they were prospecting out in here, and then moved to Yam Hill area and settled there and started his family.
So you have deep roots.
Very deep roots.
But her small town lifestyle kept her from ever feeling connected to the west side of Oregon or its big cities.
I mean, I started driving when I was 5 years old because we were raised on a farm. I started working full-time in the hayfields when I was 8 for the summers. The high school I went to closed if there was a major branding at one of the ranches because we all went to work. You know, hunting season shut down the school for a week. It's just a different lifestyle out here. Not bad or you know.
Not judging one that's better than the other, but
just different. We're a lot more self-reliant, able to take care of ourselves. You know, taught that we have to, because you drove out here today. I mean, how long did it take you? And it's 3 hours to the nearest Walmart from here.
On top of the cultural differences, Gilson has many more reasons she's helping lead the campaign to divorce the western side of Oregon. One, a typical complaint in rocky relationships: you never listen to me.
We never feel heard out here. You know, our idea of what makes us safe, the gun laws, the Measure 114, the gun storage laws, they don't make as much sense out here as they would in Portland. And we understand why they are needed for Portland, but you know, if I call the police in the middle of the night here, they may be 2 or 3 hours away before they get here. If I have something locked up with the trigger guard and in my safe and unloaded and follow all the rules, that person coming through the door is not going to wait for me to get that unlocked, and the police are hours away. So it's more about self-protection.
And I'm sure you and probably a lot of other folks out here voted no on 114.
Yes, very much so.
But it passed anyway.
It did. But it didn't pass from Eastern Oregon.
But does the fact that it did pass, is that another example to folks out here saying, see, no matter what we say, our voice is not heard and that West Side will is imposed on us?
Yes. Measure 110 was not passed out here. The marijuana laws and legalization was not passed out here, but they were passed in Portland and Eugene, and therefore we have to live under it. And it is a totally different lifestyle out here, and a different way of living and different value system.
Another sign a relationship is crumbling is when one side believes the other no longer has their best interest in mind. They lose trust in the relationship. They begin to watch for evidence to back up the feeling.
Good afternoon. The House will come to order.
I watched last year as Tina Kotek was the leader of the House, and she said, I am going to work with the Republicans to set up the new districts. And then it got time to do it, and she said, no, I don't think so. It would make me question whether it's possible. I mean, she had all right to do that. But it made us all feel like this side doesn't get listened to.
That actually happened in 2021, not last year. It came during congressional redistricting when voting boundaries were changed in Oregon, as they are every 10 years. But Sandie is correct. It did happen. More signs of a failing relationship, different values, and an imbalance in power.
You know, it's been 40 years since we've had a Republican government, you know, and there's been the feeling of it walking away from the values that we hold out here, the family values, the taking care of our neighbors and being able to care for ourselves. Those values seem to be pushed aside in the Oregon government, and more that the government's here to take care of you and tell you what to do, versus you get to live your life and the government's here to provide the services that are needed to support you in that.
Is there any chance of reconciliation in your mind? Is there anything the state could do that would make you change your mind?
Move your government out here and live here. See what it's like for us out here. But I don't think that there's the willingness to do that. I don't think we don't have delivery pizza. We don't have, you know, you have to be totally and completely self-sufficient out here. And a lot of people that live in the cities can't. It's a totally different lifestyle and a value system that's totally different.
The governor's talking about doing a listening tour. You think that would make any difference to you? We welcome the opportunity to speak with the governor. We would love to have an opportunity to sit down and speak with her like we are speaking now, and having a conversation that was equal give and take on both sides. Do I think it would change anything? No. And it wouldn't make you feel heard?
No.
We decided to take a break and get some fresh air. Sandie showed me the woods across the street from her home where deer often wander in the evening. We didn't see any, but it was a nice afternoon.
Sometimes the threat of a divorce is what gets two sides to stop and listen.
It is. You know, that is very true in marriage counseling and everything else.
Yeah.
But these two sides seem so polarized that something has to stop the polarization.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to talk and to sit down and really listen to each other.
Mm-hmm. You say these two sides, but you're one of the sides.
I am. But that doesn't mean that I don't care about the other side.
Mm-hmm. And you're ready to sit down and listen to them too?
Oh, sure.
But you really want them to listen to you as well.
Yes, very much so. You know, and we're not saying you need to change for us. We're saying let us go be ourselves.
So far, 11 counties in eastern Oregon have voted to start the process to move the state border and make them part of Idaho. This is a map showing generally where the new border would be. Back inside, the final act of a crumbling relationship. One side starts to court a new partner. I asked Sandie if it would matter if the state tried harder to limit the impact of statewide laws that may not fit well in rural Oregon.
Maybe, but I think Oregon has gone too far to where they can't come back. I don't think, and nor would I want them to. They have a right to live their life the way they want to live it. I'm just asking to live my life the way I want to live it under a government that I feel will allow that.
And you don't think the current government will?
No.
Why do you think Idaho would?
Idaho has more of the values we have. Idaho is more conservative, is more rural. We match Idaho better in just populations, county density, county areas, the type of industries that we have here. It's just a match in so many of those ways.
Now, some of you have asked why Sandie and the others don't just sell their homes and move to Idaho now. I asked that question. They say it's because they love the land where they live and they love their communities. They don't want to physically move, they just want things to change. But not everyone's ready to vote for Greater Idaho. Tomorrow night we'll visit with a brew pub owner as frustrated as anyone else, but unwilling to vote for Greater Idaho. We'll talk about why tomorrow night.